Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a tale of two Mondays. We're looking at the exact same workload, but with two wildly different outcomes. We are going to explore why simply telling your team to just work harder is honestly one of the absolute worst approaches you can take for productivity, and how the underlying systems we choose literally dictate our success. So if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by an endless mountain of tasks, we're going to break down exactly why that happens, and more importantly, how to fix it.
So picture this. Have you ever spent all day running around putting out fires, bouncing from one urgent request to the absolute next, only to realize at 5 o'clock that you didn't even touch a single item on your actual to-do list? You know the feeling, right? You're completely exhausted, you clearly worked incredibly hard, but you made absolutely zero forward progress. Well, it's a super common trap, but as we'll see, there is a very concrete way to systematically avoid it.
Let's dive right into part one, the planner's dilemma, and meet our case study for today, Sally Johnson.
To set the stage for you, Sally is a planner for the mechanical work for Crew A. And to put that into perspective, this is not some small operation. She's supporting 10 mechanics and 10 welders. Now, her goals for this Monday are super clearly defined. She needs to scope and compile plans for all the brand new jobs that the weekend operating crews just called in. And on top of that, she's got a basic administrative task. She just needs to file all the completed work orders from last week. It's definitely a full plate, for sure, but it's entirely manageable if she just sticks to her role.
But let's look at what actually happens in our first alternate reality. Scenario A, the reactive trap. This brilliantly illustrates how a structured day can just completely fall apart. Sally sits down at her desk, but before she can even finish her morning emails, boom, she gets interrupted. Two welders walk into her office needing help to run pick tickets just so they can grab a valve out of inventory. Of course, she helps them. But literally right after that, a mechanic calls her on the radio. He needs her help getting bearing clearances for the forced draft fans. Sally knows this is going to be a massive headache, and she ends up spending the better part of her entire morning tracking down and talking to the manufacturer. By the time mid-afternoon rolls around, the interruptions just haven't stopped, and Sally hasn't scoped a single new job for the future. Her actual primary goal for the day, totally untouched. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because the psychological trap here is fascinating. Despite completely failing to do her actual job of planning for the future, Sally went home feeling a sense of accomplishment. Why? Because she spent the day firefighting. I mean, it feels really good in the moment to solve an urgent problem for someone who is standing right in front of you, but we have to realize it's a false victory. By doing the technicians' troubleshooting for them, she actually sacrificed the core planning that would have kept the entire 20-person crew running smoothly tomorrow.
Okay, let's rewind the clock and look at Scenario B, the proactive process.
In this alternate version of Monday, Sally approaches things entirely differently. Step 1, right after checking her email, she immediately begins filing last week's work orders. She doesn't procrastinate. Step 2, as she starts to assemble information for those new weekend jobs, she goes straight back into those files. She looks at the past data and actually finds a list of parts for an air compressor job, knowing that is going to give her mechanics a massive head start. And then, step 3, armed with that historical data, she compiles the info, does her field inspections, and cleanly finishes her required planning.
Just by taking a little bit of time to rely on the filing system, Sally found highly useful historical information on roughly 50% of her new jobs. Let that sink in. Half of the jobs she needed to plan were made instantly easier just because she actually utilized past work orders. This isn't just some minor efficiency hack, it's a massive systemic advantage. Instead of starting from scratch every single time, she's leveraging the repetitive nature of the equipment to fast-track her solutions.
And because she fiercely protected her time, ignored all those reactive distractions, and focused strictly on the future workload, look at the result. She finished all of her required planning by mid-afternoon. Not only did she crush her core goals, but she actually had a chunk of the day left over. She used that surplus time proactively to go consult a plant engineer for some material selection advice she'd been meaning to ask about for a while. She is now literally working ahead of the curve, improving the quality of the plant's future work rather than just barely surviving her current shift.
Ultimately, the difference between these two scenarios boils down to false accomplishment versus true accomplishment. In Scenario A, Sally definitely felt helpful, sure, but that firefighting actively delayed the entire crew's future work. In Scenario B, true accomplishment, simply doing her actual job systematically boosted productivity and ultimately increased the company's bottom line. She elevated her whole crew instead of just helping one or two guys.
As this quote from the source material perfectly highlights, by the end of Scenario B, Sally realized her efforts were part of a far better process than the exhausting old just work harder mindset. Working harder in Scenario A just meant running in circles on the phone all day. Working smarter meant relying on her files and her processes to do all the heavy lifting for her.
Which brings us nicely to Part 4, leveraging past data to create a true cycle of improvement.
Look, for this cycle of improvement to actually work in the real world, everyone has to play their part. First, the technicians, the mechanics, and the welders, they have to make a real effort to resolve their own minor problems without instantly running to the planner for help. Second, when they do finish a job, they have to provide solid feedback on what they encountered. On the flip side, planners have to actually keep and utilize that past work order info. And finally, and honestly this is the most crucial part, planners must be fiercely protected so they can focus on tomorrow's work rather than getting dragged into today's emergencies.
And that leads us right to the ultimate goal, the core principle of planning, utilizing the repetitive nature of equipment maintenance. Let's be real, machines break in similar ways over time. If you capture the data from the very first break, you give your technicians a massive head start the next time it happens. You're allowing your team to actually learn from the past, so they literally never have to solve the exact same problem twice.
I want to leave you with this final, incredibly important thought. Past delays can only be avoided if they are remembered. If you don't file those work orders, if you don't track the parts you used, you are basically choosing corporate amnesia. You're guaranteeing that your team is going to have to work just as hard tomorrow as they did today, with absolutely zero improvement. So take a hard look at your own systems and ask yourself, what is your team remembering today? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will see you next time.